Hello, my name is Hassan Sorrells, and this is the Leadership Lessons from the Great Books podcast. Shorts. There's no co-host on Shorts episodes. These are around 6 to 8 minute long observations, ideas, thoughts, or rants about the literature, philosophy, psychology, and the theology of leadership. Because listening to me talk about leadership for now around 6 to 8 minutes is still better than reading and trying to understand yet another business book. Even mine. Oh, and by the way, before I really get started here, this is the 50th of these Shorts episodes, bringing the combined number of total podcasts to close to 100. So please keep listening to the main podcast, and please keep listening to these Shorts episodes. And we thank you for your ears. Now, on with the show. Leaders are required to make sense of the world. Not the global world, of course, but the local world for their followers. This is a difficult task if the noise of the world crowds out the potential for comprehending and analyzing a clear signal, or if the ratio of noise to signal is off or somehow out of balance. Literature, great literature, cuts through the noise, rebalances the hierarchy, and provides leaders with understanding that only great art can provide. We in the West, and by extension globally, are living at the height of profoundly anti-human, anti-Western civilization, nihilistic times, where people, average and otherwise, are desperately seeking meaning because everything else, everywhere else, has failed to hit the meaning mark. Everything else, from science to philosophy, from marketing to social media, has been captured by hamartia, almost as if the punchline to a not very funny joke has finally landed, and the 3-drink minimum crowd doesn't quite know how to respond. The way back to meaning is being discussed right now in the world, in the West. At least some people are discussing it. Other folks are just happily going along and not paying attention. But the way back is not through absurdity, although absurdity and humor can help relieve the pain of hamartia. The way back is not through more gee whiz technological advancement, though human beings of a certain ilk and temperament will try to return to meaning via that well-trodden road for sure. The way back to meaning is not through more dividing up of human attention, with more appeals to our dopaminergic systems and our mechanistic biological responses. The way back to meaning, the way to rebalance the hierarchy, and the way to banish all of that anti-human nihilism that we see all around us is through the hard path of conversation, education, patience, and through learning about and doing the hard, thankless things. Now, I don't often talk about other shows that I appear on. As a podcaster, I do go on other shows to talk about my ideas. But I appeared recently on the Sense and Signal podcast hosted by Daniel Tarker and Joda Jensen. And we talked a lot about meaning, about literature, about the corrosive nature of social media, and about the Nietzschean nihilism encapsulated in that non-triumphant statement about God's death. Even more specifically, we talked about how leaders can leverage literature to cut through the endless noise, grab and grasp a clear signal, and make sense of the world their followers live in today, both the local world and the global world. It's conversations like the one that I had with Dan and Joda on the Sense and Signal podcast that will move our families, communities, and eventually our nation state back toward meaning and away from the corrosive nihilism that inevitably leads to the destruction of people, identities, and even institutions. It is the responsibility of leaders looking to hear the signal through the noise to begin to participate in conversations like the one I had with Dan and Joda. No more listening and sitting on the sidelines, folks. It's time to get in the game. The links to the Sense and Signal podcast episode, both the YouTube and the Anchor.fm links, are below the player today in the show notes. You can also check out the Sense and Signal podcast everywhere where you subscribe to podcasts: Google, Spotify, and of course, Apple iTunes. And well, that's it for me. Listen and subscribe to the Leadership Lessons from the Great Books podcast on all the major podcast players that you listen to podcasts on, including iTunes, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, and even Spotify. And please leave a 5-star review if you like the show. We need those reviews to grow, and it's the easiest way to make sure that this show gets into the ears of the leaders who need to hear it. And of course, tell all your friends. If you want to get started on the leadership path, HSCT Publishing's products and services can help your team do that. Check out our training webinars, coaching services, and more at leadershiptoolbox.us. We also have a video-based subscription service, that's software as a service, that can help your team become better at the individual level. 60 modules and over 100 hours of video and written content for you at leadingkeys.com. That's leadingkeys.com. We've also got books that will help you and your team grow. Pick up a copy today of My Boss Doesn't Care, 100 essays on disrupting your workplace by disrupting your boss, and subscribe to the Little Red podcast I launched earlier this year with the same name as that Little Red book. My most recent book is 12 Rules for Leaders, the Foundation of Intentional Leadership. Co-written with contributions from Bradley Madigan, this is the book for right now that was written for leaders right now. Pick up a copy by heading over to 12rulesleadersbook.com/now. That's 12rulesleadersbook.com/now. You pay for shipping, and you'll get a copy of my second book as well. Finally, you can get all these books in paperback, hardcover, or as ebooks on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, and any other place online you order books. Finally, HSCT Publishing is on YouTube. Like and subscribe to the video version of the Leadership Lessons for the Great Books podcast on the HSCT Publishing channel on YouTube. Just search for HSCT Publishing and hit the subscribe button. You'll get our weekly video updates, which is the video version of this podcast. And, of course, you're going to want to subscribe to my other podcast. That's right, I do more than one. The Hasan Sorrells Presents audio experience, where I talk more casually with a broader range of people about all matters that matter in the world today, from arts all the way to analytics. All right, that's it for me.